Rob Gillies, the production designer on Xena and on Hercules, is one of the most phenomenal brains I have ever met in my life. He's the most pleasant, gentle man. Somewhere in there, he has compartmentalized so much. He's doing 2 huge period shows. At any one time, he was working on 6 different episodes, 3 Xenas, 3 Hercules at the same time, and he kept every one of them straight, every set straight, and he always treated everyone like they were the only person in the world when he was speaking to them.
The challenges in designing for the Xena show were numerous. Mainly the speed that you had to work at. If I got a script, I would get a script probably 3 weeks out from a show. So I would have about a week to get my act together with what I could do in that week, then a couple of days to draw it. So I would draw it up, just sort of scribbles and crazy sketches, then flick it over to all of my people who were going to have to turn around and take it from the drawings to manufactured objects.
The very first time I worked with him was actually on Hercules, and Rob said, well, here's 8 pillars made out of foam that you have, and here's a few curtains made out of silk. Now this is your castle. Take it, you can make a hallway, you can make a square room, you can make anything you want. The crew will turn and move it around for you. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I've got to go. I've got to get it. Somehow he took these things and he designed them. It was unbelievable. And then when we did Greeks Bearing Gifts, he built this whole castle for me, and I was like, wow, we've gone from a couple of pillars in one episode to an entire castle on another one. The guy's just a phenomenal brain.
So for the castle, we just built the front of it. And we couldn't really afford to build a big castle, so I had a piece of land that we used to shoot on a lot. And that, fortunately, was a very contoured little landscape. So there was a gully there which was all covered in scrub and low bush, which we cleared, and it gave us a bit of a hill. And so if we put our sort of whatever castle we could at the top of the hill, we knew that when we were down in the gully, we would have that much more dramatic than we would if we stuck it on the flat. So we sort of tried to use bits of the landscape that were giving us something for nothing.
He had become the production designer on Hercules the first season, and he was great. He was really a pleasure to work with. Very logical, very efficient. I thought he did just a great job. And he, as so many people were doing at that time, he was one of the departments that just doubled up. They had a full workload on Hercules, but somehow they managed to do Xena at the same time. Rob Gillies did that. The costume designer Nyla Dixon, who also went on to do Lord of the Rings.
It's to Nyla Dixon and Rob Gillies' credit that they were able to develop processes on Xena that were obviously rolled right over into production process for Lord of the Rings with regards to costume design and art direction.
Xena really was the testing grounds for Lord of the Rings, right down to the wardrobe designer, Nyla Dixon, who was unbelievable on Xena. They saw that on Xena and on Hercules and took her, and she was able to take a lot of what she had learned and move it over to Lord of the Rings. I mean, really, if you look at those shows back to back, you see so many influences of Xena in Lord of the Rings.
I strung him up for the vultures.
It's interesting, the producers realized very early on that they were going to delve into mythology, and they realized that Xena couldn't have traveled through all the mythological times that they wanted to delve into. So it became known early on that we were going to be cheating time, we were going to be cheating mythology, and that was fine. We accepted that. We said, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to let the audience know too that we know we're cheating time, we know we're cheating mythology, so sort of in a way wink at it and try and tell the story so that we can perhaps educate people but not say this is exactly what mythology, we're not following it to the T.
I think we learned very quickly to feel no responsibility to the myths. I mean, they took such liberties. They made, in this one show, which one is it? Death in Chains, I think, when Hades comes and Xena draws her sword and he says, hey, relax, I'm a fan. Well, once you're into that world, you can do just about anything.
Always ready for a fight. That's why I like you, Xena.
Hades.
God of the underworld.
What do you want?
Hey, relax, I'm a big fan.
Let's face it, Xena was not exactly historically accurate, okay? You know, you can't have somebody be in the Trojan War and then see Caesar. It just isn't going to work. But, you know, you suspend that disbelief, you know, watching the show. But I found the biblical references. I tried to stay true to their legends. Later on in Altered States, the whole thing about sacrificing your son is a total biblical reference. And so I approached that episode in a much grander scheme. I had wide vistas. I had very wide shots of very small people. I'm trying to get that, you know, trying to get that epic look.
I love you, Father.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene in Greeks Bearing Gifts was really the Trojan horse coming in through the door and seeing, to me that's where I felt there was a little bit of need to try and stick with mythology and have a full-size Trojan horse and have it stay there overnight and have the team drop out. I grew up with mythology, and to create that and go, wow, this is so cool. It was a real high point. Felt like epic TV making.
Open the gate! Hurry! Open the gate! Open them!
Well, my favorite scene in Doctor in the House is inventing CPR and Xena waking up Gabrielle and saving her, and having that moment where that you realized that this ragtag little girl that Xena had picked up along the way, who was a bard, who was a bit of an annoyance, she was falling in love with. And the tears of, I am about to lose someone that I love.
No. Come on, Gabrielle. Come on. Come on. Don't leave me. Don't you leave me! Don't leave me! Don't leave me! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
Oh, mighty Asclepius, we beseech.
He'll die unless you cut off that leg.
What? Lose my leg? I don't want to lose my leg.
Can't I work in peace?
Doctor in the House was really interesting in terms of gore and guts and what we could do. We were doing a story that dealt with tracheotomies, with cauterizing amputated legs. There was a lot of blood that went in there. It was difficult to know in our time period what we could put on the air. I did a cut of that show that the censors would not pass. And Rob Tappert and Lucy Lawless and Eric Grundeman fought the network, fought the censors, fought everyone, and we held that show for 3 months. It didn't air when it was supposed to. And Rob Tappert said, I love this the way it is so much right now that I don't want to trim it. And there were sequences in there where the censors said, you are showing on camera a leg being cut off. And Rob's going, no, we're not. It's all in the cutting. It's in your mind. You're hearing it. And they had to go back frame by frame and see that we had created a sequence where in their mind they thought a leg was being chopped off on camera, but it wasn't. In the end, I think 60 seconds of my original cut got taken out, and then it passed, and that's how it aired. And Rob always says he would love to have at some point done on DVD the the full sequence the way we did it originally, without the 60 seconds cut out.
Hold him down. He'll be more in shock than in pain.
The pilot episode was Sins of the Past. As fond as I was of directing action, I really was enjoying doing the drama in the show. One of my favorite scenes in the episode was the scene between Gabrielle and her sister, which is Renee O'Connor and Willa O'Neill, when Gabrielle was saying goodbye to her sister. That was my favorite scene. It was interesting when Rob Tappert had seen the dailies for that. The next day he said, well, now I know we're doing a different show than Hercules. And Hercules, the only time we had two women talking together, one of them was chained to a wall.
What's in the bag? Ella, I'm going to join up with Xena. Are you serious? Absolutely. I'm going to be a warrior, like her. A warrior? Gabrielle, I can beat you up. Yeah, but you're very strong for your age.
I also liked doing the scenes between Xena and her mother in the tavern. And I think those were some of the scenes that helped define the show as much as the action did. Because they're, you know, as silly as this world was that we were creating, we wanted it to have a sincerity. We wanted the characters in the story to believe completely in what was going on.
Weapons aren't welcome in my tavern. That's right. Neither are you. What are you doing here?
Mother, listen. The warlord Draco is marching on this valley.
And you need to borrow a few men for an army, right?
I can help organize a defense.
Give it up, Xena.
I know Draco. I know the way he thinks. I know what his weaknesses are. If we act now, we stand a good chance of stopping him.
You think we're fools? We all remember what happened the last time you talked like that.
Well, one of my favorite scenes is when Renee is playing drugged, because she played it so well. Renee's funny, because if she had to be in a certain mode, if she had to be other than just Gabrielle, she would gear up for it by kind of lapsing into that, even when the camera wasn't rolling. So I remember I was walking around the set, and they were lighting the set, and they said, hey, Renee, how you doing? I'm fine. I mean, she was playing the role, and I said, okay, gotcha, I'm there, you know? And she was totally getting into it. It was a fun scene, because it's the first time where Lucy is playing the straight man, and Renee gets to play the comedy. And she played it great, and she was game for anything I wanted to do. We did the scene where she's crying because she can't find the boy. She forgot where the boy was, and she goes out of frame. And then, you know, I said, well, okay, you know, instead of just popping up behind her, I said, Renee, crawl in front, and the audience won't care how you got there. Just pop up in front of her. And, you know, Lucy's doing this look like, how did you get there? It was a tremendous amount of fun to shoot.
By the way, how much nut bread did I concede?
None. You know, I really wanted to share, but it was just too good. And he said he wasn't hungry, and then the next thing I knew, it was just gone.
It's okay. There's no sign of a struggle. My guess is he went to get his mother. Aside from us, she's his only ally.
What are we waiting for? Let's go!